All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this bout, this A-level bout, the official sanctioned WFTDA bout between the Chicago outfit Syndicate and the Dairyland Dolls from Madison, Wisconsin. I am Wilhelm Scream.
And I am Rex Support. We'll be calling the action for you here on WithThe.TV. We've got a great bout coming up. We'll take a look at the Syndicate roster. We've got number 00, Kim Mortal, 0902, Hiroshima, 138 is Lola Blow, 14, the Joan Ranger, number 18, Matza Ballbreaker, number 1978, Nikita, 2016 is Jane Flinch, 21, Samantha Judge, number 50, Lethal Dose, 666 is Susie Crotchrock, 82, Genergizer Bunny, 83, Lindiana Jones, AK-47 is Lady K, with the bench coaches Althea and Tyne.
The Syndicate is in yellow. The Dairyland Dolls are in blue. Their roster, number 15, Mac the Knife, 18 feet, Alligator, 22, Tango de Muerte, 31, Lady Hoo-Ha, 366, G Lane, number 4, Mouse, number 565, Glock Ness, number 6, Wipeout Scout, number 65, Blanche Devereaux, 987, Splatter Alice, 9mm Shenanigans, B-52, Sequin Destroyer, D4, Magic Missile, P1MP, Busta Crimes, 1213, Knocking J, 48, Micro Mauler, Mayor bench staffed by El Machete, and Hello Sailor.
On that first jam, we had the Chicago outfit Syndicate getting out to an early 3-0 lead. As we set up for the next one for the Dairyland Dolls, Lady Hoo-Ha, number 31, set to jam. And it looks like she's going up against Matza Ballbreaker for the Syndicate. The whistle puts us back underway.
These two teams have played each other a few times. Chicago holding a 2-1 advantage in head-to-head competition. But right now, if you look at the WFTDA standings, Madison geared up for a D1 tournament play. Chicago D2 tournament.
It looks like Matza Ballbreaker had been forced out. She got recycled to the back, got through his lead jam, called it off immediately because Lady Hoo-Ha had managed to get through and would have been eligible to score points, but was not lead jammer that time around.
Very, very good derby intelligence being displayed there by the Syndicate, making sure to call off that jam. 0 points, allowing the outfit to hold a 3-0 lead still. 2 jams in, 28 minutes, 20 seconds left to go.
Setting up for the next jam, we have Magic Missile D4 jamming for the Dairyland Dolls up against Genergizer Bunny, number 82 for the Syndicate. Magic Missile going up against the full set of blockers for the Syndicate. Genergizer Bunny meeting some heavy resistance from Shenanigans. And lead jam on this one being earned by Magic Missile, getting through the pack first.
Shenanigans looked like she thought she'd caught Genergizer Bunny with a track cut. However, Genergizer Bunny off for a forearm penalty. That's going to put Magic Missile on a power jam.
You can see on the power jam the Dairyland Dolls electing to hang back, waiting for Magic Missile to hopefully fight her way through the pack, get the no pack call. And it looks like she will get through for the 5-point Grand Slam, being earned by the Dairyland Dolls, putting them up 5-3 early on.
And Shenanigans into the penalty box. Knocks down one of the Madison blockers. But Magic Missile doesn't need the blocker.
Another 5 points earned by Magic Missile, the Grand Slam pass. Now putting the Dairyland Dolls out to a 10-3 lead. It looks like Genergizer Bunny still working on her initial pass. Meanwhile, another completed scoring pass, another 5-point Grand Slam earned by Magic Missile. Looks like some fantastic blocking having been applied by the Dairyland Dolls. Genergizer Bunny finally getting through on her initial pass. as that jam runs out on time, now making for a 19-3 lead by the Dairyland Dolls as we are 4 minutes into this action.
It was very, very impressive defense by Madison, really holding back Energizer Bunny. She was able to finally get through on one pass, but not able to pick up any points. 19-3. Dairyland Dolls holding the lead. 25 minutes, 40 seconds left to go in the first half.
As we start the next jam, Splatter Alice, number 987, jamming for the Dairyland Dolls, going up against Lola Blow, number 138 for the Chicago outfit Syndicate. Splatter Alice getting recycled back to the pack. Back to the back, that allows the lead jam to go to Lola Blow for the Syndicate.
Sean Ranger into the penalty box for a low block.
Meanwhile, a completed pass, a 5-point grand slam being earned by Lola Blow. Splatter Alice having completed her initial pass, she'll be eligible to score. We'll watch and see how long she lets the jam go, though. Calling it right there was Lola Blow. Getting 2 more points for the Syndicate and keeping the Dairyland Dolls off the board.
The Dairyland Dolls sent out the same blocker core as the previous jam. It might have worked against them as Lola Blow was able to find that opening, sneak through, grab her points. It's going to put the score 19-10 with 24 minutes, 30 seconds to go in the first half.
On your screen, you saw a little friendly chat between the two jammers going this time. Mouse, number 4, going for the Dairyland Dolls up against Matza Ballbreaker, number 18 for the Syndicate.
I can't read lips, so all I can assume what Mouse was saying was watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
Oh, and we have lead jam being earned by Matza Ballbreaker. Mouse, having gotten ahead of her, though, sets up that situation once again where the lead jammer, being the second skater running, she calls off the jam, goes to reset and see what they can do the next time around.
That's going to keep the score 19-10, 23 minutes, 45 seconds. Keep in mind, if you want to talk to us on Twitter, we can be talked to at the hashtag Talk2WFTDA. That is talk, the number 2, WFTDA.
Next jam underway, Lady Hoo-Ha once again jamming for the Dairyland Dolls. Genergizer Bunny back to work for the Syndicate. 1 blocker to beat and lead jam going to the Dairyland Dolls in the form of Lady Hoo-Ha.
It was a valiant effort by Lindiana Jones, slowing down Lady Hoo-Ha as far as she could, but Lady Hoo-Ha just had too much lateral movement. Indiana Jones could not keep her back.
Glock Ness getting sent to the penalty box for the Dairyland Dolls, getting called with a high block, putting the Dairyland Dolls 1 skater down. Some heavy resistance being offered by the Dairyland Dolls blockers right now. Tango de Muerte, Alligator, and Mac the Knife on the track. Glock Ness getting freed from the box, putting us back 5-on-5. Meanwhile, Genergizer Bunny has finally completed her initial pass, but it will go for naught because the jam called off another 5-point grand slam earned by the Dairyland Dolls, making your score 24-10, just under 8 minutes into this bout.
And if things go the way that they were, Genergizer Bunny is going to hate seeing number 15 lined up against her. Mac the Knife was a strong defense, just stopping that jammer. A lot of times, just one-on-one. Mac the Knife putting the hammer down, forcing Genergizer Bunny to not find that opening. We'll see what happens this go-round. Magic Missile jamming up against Lola Blow, and Magic Missile lead jammer.
Lead jam, as stated, earned by Magic Missile. We've got the jammer Lola Blow getting forced out of bounds. She'll have to recycle to the back of the pack. Goes back to work again against the formidable blocking as P1MP Busta Crimes forcing her out again, interrupting her initial scoring pass.
And Magic Missile now dealing with Hiroshima. No easy task. Hiroshima getting some help from Susie Crottrot.
And it looks like Jean Lane also offering the very effective blocking. The Dairyland Dolls doing a fantastic job of holding up the initial pass here. And it looks like another 4 points earned by the Dairyland Dolls by Magic Missile. And as we come down to 20 minutes, toward 20 minutes remaining in the first half, your score 28-10. The Dairyland Dolls leading the Syndicate.
And so far, fairly low scoring bout. Madison getting the advantage so far, but only 18 points separating the two teams. Nothing insurmountable, and there's a lot of time left on the clock.
All it would take is one good power jam, and this could flip in an instant. From the 105.5 Triple M Jammer line, we have Splatter Alice jamming for the Dairyland Dolls, but the Joan Ranger managing to work her way through first, gets lead jam status for the Syndicate.
Splatter Alice trying to turn on the Jets. The Joan Rangers already scoring points.
And that jam getting called off with 3 points earned by the Syndicate. 18 becomes 15. The difference, Madison 28 and the outfit 13.
If Chicago can continue to get the lead jammer stats and just dink away 4 points to nothing, 3 points to nothing, they've still got a lot of time. And these two teams, again, they have faced each other before. Madison holding a much higher rank right now. Both the games played on the track. And Chicago is not going to hand this victory over to Madison.
And we get a penalty being called against Mouse for a back block for the Dairyland Dolls. That'll put the Syndicate on the power jam, just like we were talking about. One good power jam could change this around quickly. Matza Ballbreaker now getting through to lead jam status for the Syndicate.
The Syndicate also find themselves with a 4-3 pack advantage as Glock Ness into the penalty box for a forearm call.
And we have another whistle multiplayer block being called. Madison having another blocker getting sent to the box. Looks like Allie Gator with the distinctive ridges on her back.
That left only Mac the Knife and Tango de Muerte out there as the sole blockers for the Dairyland Dolls.
And that helps the Syndicate as Matza Ballbreaker gets a 5-point grand slam pass, which cuts the difference down to 5 points now. And we got the jam called off. That's going to add, it looks like 4 more points. 18 points we were just talking about a couple minutes ago is now 1.
1 point separating the two teams. Dairyland Dolls 28. Chicago Outfit Syndicate 27. 17 minutes, 45 seconds left to go. And again, Syndicate playing smart. Dairyland Dolls also playing smart. Both teams are relatively clean, but Syndicate just got that huge advantage of Mouse picking up that penalty, giving them a power jam.
As we start the next jam from the 105.5 Triple M Jammer line, Lady Hoo-Ha going to work for the Dairyland Dolls. Lola Blow jamming for the Syndicate. Once again, some very good blocking being executed, but the last jammer eluded by Lola Blow, getting a lead jam status for the Syndicate. It looks like Lady Hoo-Ha also getting clear. Both skaters will be eligible to score points this time around. And 2 points. If we were in the arena, we'd be telling everyone, grab your drinks. We have a lead change, 29-28. The Syndicate now on top.
And what we're seeing now is we're seeing both jammers coming in that pack. Good defense. Took 30 seconds for either jammer to get through. But once that first jammer was through, the second jammer found an opening as well and really minimized the damage. But with Chicago getting that lead jammer status, they've got a lead now, 1 point. We'll see if they can keep it going.
Starting the next jam, Magic Missile going to work for the Dairyland Dolls up against the Joan Ranger for the Syndicate. Again, a 1 point lead for the 1 point lead for the Syndicate, but the Dairyland Dolls getting lead jam. Magic Missile getting out first. We'll see if she can flip the board once again. The Joan Ranger, having cleared, would have been eligible to score, but the jam being called off. 0 points on both sides. Nice blocking by the Syndicate to keep the Dairyland Dolls off the board on that jam.
Yeah, that big block knocking down Magic Missile before she could get her hips past one of the Syndicate skaters. Calling off the jam from the ground. It's going to keep the Syndicate up 29-28 with 15 minutes, 35 seconds to go.
On the 105.5 Triple M jammer line, we have Splatter Alice going for the Dairyland Dolls against Genergizer Bunny for the Syndicate. The whistle puts us back underway. We have Hiroshima getting back onto the track for the Syndicate. We have an empty penalty box, 5-on-5 on the track.
And Genergizer Bunny pushed to the outside, has to recycle back deep.
We get lead jam earned by Splatter Alice, as it looks like Genergizer Bunny got forced out of bounds. She has to recycle back to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, Splatter Alice going to work trying to fight her way through to get some more points, try to put the Dairyland Dolls back on top. Some nice blocking being done by Glock Ness, blocking for the Dairyland Dolls. Hiroshima still trying to complete her initial pass. Splatter Alice managing to get around the last block. She gets the 5-point grand slam, and that'll give us another lead change. Dairyland Dolls now going up 33-29.
And we do have a star pass. Kim Mortal now jamming for the Chicago outfit. She wasn't in an attempt to try and actually get her jammer through.
Yeah, looks like they're still...
Looks like that star pass has actually been invalidated. Star pass was happening as Genergizer Bunny was on her way to the box.
And we have the official coming over to explain that now, because the penalty came during or before the star pass was completed. As stated, that means that Genergizer Bunny is still the jammer. She has to pick up that helmet cover on her way out of the box. And it looks like the jam coming to an end, and the Dairyland Dolls extending the lead. They've now regained 43-29 with 13-12 remaining in this first half.
Yeah, it looks like the Chicago coach was actually in trying to get that clarification on that star pass. It may not have been completed, but as far as I understand the current star pass rules, if it's been passed to the pivot, that just makes the pivot the new inactive jammer. So it doesn't matter when the jammer picks up the penalty. I might be wrong on that. Please, if I am wrong, correct me at #TalkToWFTDA.
Where's my rule book when I need it?
Exactly, it's one of the new rules that's just changed. Meanwhile, Chicago outfit, they've got lead jammer status. That's Lola Blow.
Lola Blow jamming for the Syndicate against Mouse for the Dairyland Dolls. We've got one Syndicate skater going to the box. We got that jam called off, with the Syndicate earning, I believe that was 2 points on that jam. Now 43-31, the Dairyland Dolls leading with just over 12 minutes remaining in this first half.
Seems like so far one of the things we're seeing is some of the smaller jammers. We're noticing it with Genergizer Bunny and also a little bit with Mouse. Some of the smaller jammers seem to be having a difficulty with the size of the opposing blockers. Some of the larger jammers having a little bit easier of a time getting through.
Both of the teams bringing some very strong blocking to the track today. We'll see what effect that has on the jammers as they get worn down progressively as the day goes on. On the jam, Lady Hoo-Ha for the Dairyland Dolls getting the lead jam status, as we have a penalty, Lady K getting sent to the box for a direction of gameplay penalty for the Syndicate. Lady Hoo-Ha getting through for the 5-point grand slam, as it looks like Matza Ballbreaker, having now cleared the pack on her initial pass, she'll be eligible to score, but Lady Hoo-Ha, seeing that she would have to do some work to get to the opposing blockers, where her blockers were trailing behind. She decides to call off the jam, not giving the Syndicate the chance to score any points.
That's good use of the Derby smarts. I mean, odds were good that she was going to probably pick up 1 or 2 points, but with the Syndicate jammer coming up so quickly and her pack holding the back of the wall, it just made more sense to call it off. We got a score of 48-31. Madison on top, 10 minutes, 40 seconds to go.
On the next jam, Magic Missile going back to work for the Dairyland Dolls. She's going up against the Joan Ranger for the Syndicate. Magic Missile getting cast to lead jam for the Dairyland Dolls. And we get that one called off. A little inside jump, 4 points being added to the Dairyland Dolls. Total now 52-31 as we get a timeout being called by the Syndicate. 10-14 remaining in the first half. Your score, the Dairyland Dolls 52, the Syndicate 31.
Yeah, Dairyland Dolls starting to put their mark on this bout, starting to take control of it. Only 21 points separating the two teams, but Dairyland Dolls really starting to open that up and use their defensive force to hold the Syndicate blockers back, and the jammers specifically, just really keeping them from getting any points.
We'd like to take a moment to thank a couple of our great sponsors of Roller Derby here today. Monkey Bar Gym, where Derby girls work out to be strong enough for Derby. At Monkey Bar Gym Madison, they understand both high-level athletic performance and physical limitations. They've trained professional athletes and weekend warriors, firefighters and grandmothers, carpenters and cancer survivors. Monkey Bar Gym, 1876 East Washington Avenue in Madison. The swooping whistle indicating the end of the timeout. Again, 10-14 in the first half, 52-31. As we'll get back to work with Susie Crottrot jamming for the Syndicate, going up against Mouse for the Dairyland Dolls. And a little bit of a wake up and go start for this one, but the jam underway. Mouse finding some heavy resistance from Lethal Dose and Kim Mortal, as well as Samantha Judge. Lead jam being earned by Susie Crotchrot, getting through the pack first.
Yeah, Lethal Dose picking up that multiplayer block penalty, but it might have been one of those smart penalties that allowed their jammer to get through and pick up lead jammer status, but it's all for naught, as Susie Crotchrot assessed a penalty into the penalty box. That's going to put Mouse on a power jam.
Dairyland Dolls on the power jam, and it also means we will skate the full 2 minutes as lead jam was lost by the Syndicate, and a 5-point grand slam being earned by Mouse as she comes back around to the pack. Again, the Syndicate down their jammer and the one blocker in the box now getting freed, but not soon enough to prevent another 5-point grand slam by the Dairyland Dolls and Mouse.
And Mouse using her lower center of gravity to do some counter blocking and throw those Chicago Syndicate skaters off of their balance while she stays on her wheels and stays on the track with her agility. But she's got her opposing jammer back on the track. As Susie
We're
Crotchrot
getting whistles left and right.
expired.
Getting many whistles. We've got a full box on the side of the Syndicate. Hiroshima and Samantha Judge in the box. Both jammers on the track, scoring points. Another 5-point grand slam by the Dairyland Dolls. And Susie Crotchrot taking a hard shot from her own blocker, knocking her down.
And Samantha Judge coming out of the penalty box allows Kim Mortal to go in. Chicago outfit actually sitting with a backup in their penalty box. They had to wait for one spot to open before they could have another blocker report to the box. Right now they've only got one in the penalty box to start out. They're going to be down with 3 blockers compared to Dairyland Dolls 4. And one of the ways to beat Madison is not to send people to the penalty box on a recurring basis.
That's a smart way to skate no matter what team you're with. Less penalties is better. as we start up against Splatter Alice jamming for the Dairyland Dolls against Lola Blow of the Syndicate. And it looks like we had a clockwise penalty being assessed to one of the Syndicate. Lead jam being earned by Splatter Alice for the Dairyland Dolls.
That lady came to the penalty box for blocking out of play.
Splatter Alice working around, gets through the packets, another 5-point grand slam, adding on to the Dairyland Dolls lead, now 76-36, plus 40 for the Dairyland Dolls as we're under 7 minutes in the first half. Looks like we had a clockwise block called against Shenanigans, getting her sent to the box. That jam being called off, another 4 points for the Dairyland Dolls, 2 points being added to the Syndicate total. As we're approaching 6:30 remaining in the first half, now 80-38, the Dairyland Dolls on top.
Yeah, very, very physical bout between these two teams. We're seeing that both teams are trying to really lay into each other. This is a good warm-up for both teams going into tournament season. Chicago Outfit having their tournament in just a couple weeks in Kitchener, Ontario. And Madison playing in the last preliminary before the championship down in Charleston.
Lead jam being earned by the Dairyland Dolls once again. Lady Hoo-Ha getting out of the pack first, getting through clean, as Matza Ballbreaker is now on the chase, having completed her initial pass. Lady Hoo-Ha calling off the jam, having completed that scoring pass, getting 4 more points, giving a little celebratory fist pump to the crowd.
It's going to be the score, 84 for the Dairyland Dolls, 38 for the Syndicate, 5 minutes, 40 seconds left.
Fast Forward Skate Center at 4649 for Rona Road in Madison. There you can celebrate, discover the joy of roller skating. Magic Missile with the star cover once again for the Dairyland Dolls. The Joan Ranger jamming for the Syndicate. Joan Ranger getting through, gets to lead jam status for the Syndicate as she'll go to work and try to chip away at the Dairyland Dolls lead. However, Magic Missile also able to get through, completing her initial pass. That'll put the pressure on the Joan Ranger, who calls off the jam right there, getting 1 point as Magic Missile was racing to try to catch up.
It was a big hit delivered. I believe that was Blanche Devereaux that knocked down the Joan Ranger, preventing her from getting any additional points. At 1 point makes the score 39-84. Dairyland Dolls still on top, 4.5 minutes to go.
We start the next jam with the Syndicate 1 skater down, with Hiroshima standing in the box waiting to get released. Lola Blow jamming for the Syndicate up against Mouse for the Dairyland Dolls. Mouse gets through nicely, gets around to lead jam status once again for the Dairyland Dolls. As Lola Blow getting forced out at just the last second, she'll have to recycle and try to do it again.
A good block by Alligator, good hit block to once again stop Lola Blow before she can find that opening. That last line of defense so far stifling Lola Blow.
We've got some strong blocking coming from 3 of the Syndicate, but Mouse manages to roll around the outside, gets through for a 5-point grand slam, adding on to the Dairyland Dolls lead. Now 50 points at 89-39 with 3:30 remaining in this first half.
Good backwards waterfall by the Dairyland Dolls, forcing the jammer for the outfit back deep. Looks like that jammer is now Hiroshima. Star pass completed for the Chicago outfit.
Hiroshima now trying to get through, but still getting held up by the strong blocking of the Dairyland Dolls. Give credit to Mac the Knife, Alligator, Tango de Muerte, and Glock Ness. As that jam gets called off, Now 60 points the advantage for the Dairyland Dolls at 99-39 with 2:35 remaining in the first half.
And earlier in the bout, Mouse looked like she was having a little bit of a problem finding those openings. The last couple of jams, we've started to see the Mouse we've seen so many years before, where she's now asserting herself, using her agility and that lower center of gravity to just force the opposing blockers off their wheels through a good counter block.
And that's just simple physics. Lower center of gravity often wins in keeping balance and fighting through the strength on the track. Splatter Alice going to work for the Dairyland Dolls against the Energizer Bunny for the Syndicate. We got a track cut being signaled against Lady K getting sent to the box for the Syndicate, putting them one blocker down. Meanwhile, Splatter Alice getting through to lead jam status. And it looks like we have, actually that was a forearm against Lady K. The track cut going to Energizer Bunny. That puts the Dairyland Dolls on the power jam. Already a 5-point grand slam earned by Splatter Alice. And she does it again, 5 more points. Now 109-39 as Splatter Alice calls off the jam. And oh, that is unfortunate. Energizer Bunny thought that her time was up, and she skated out of the box, getting called for the illegal re-entry. That means she's going to sit for an extra 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's certainly not going to help out the Chicago Syndicate. They're now staring at a 109-39 deficit with just under a minute to go in the first half. Dairyland Dolls really just asserting themselves again, just laying the hammer down and taking control of this bout.
With the period clock running down, as long as we have an active jam, as you know, the rules of Derby say that we will go past the end of that period clock. Right now, Lady Hoo-Ha getting to lead jam status on the power jam. Energizer Bunny back up on her wheels, waiting for the release command. 20 seconds remaining. We had the brief no pack call. Then the pack was reformed. Lady Hoo-Ha still fighting against 2 blockers for the Syndicate. A nice hit leveled by Samantha Judge.
And Energizer Bunny has completed her penalty time. And here's a little bit of an opportunity, a window opening up for the Syndicate. Lady Hoo-Ha being sent off the track on a penalty for a track cut.
Now Energizer Bunny on the power jam for the Syndicate. It means we will skate out the full 2 minutes of the jam. She has just completed her initial pass and now eligible to score points. But she gets forced outside of the track. She has to recycle back. And now she has that blocking of Glock Ness. Looks like a penalty being assessed.
That'd be a low block penalty being assessed to Glock Ness.
And now a 5-point grand slam earned by Energizer Bunny. Lady Hoo-Ha has escaped the box. As we have 12 seconds remaining, there's a 5-point grand slam by Lady Hoo-Ha, adding more points onto the Dairyland Dolls total.
It almost didn't look like the Chicago outfit knew that she was there.
And another 5 points earned on the jam by the Dairyland Dolls, and another celebratory fist pump, deservedly so, as we'll come down to halftime with your score currently reading 119-47, the Dairyland Dolls with the advantage over the Syndicate.
The Dairyland Dolls have really been putting down the hammer, just strong defense. The Syndicate unable to really solve the problems.
Penalties. Looks like she'll be starting in the penalty box again. 7 penalties gets you disqualified from the game.
And something that hurts a little bit for the Chicago outfit and might explain why they're staring at a 119-47 deficit. Energizer Bunny, one of their jammers, sitting with 4 penalties already. That's just helped Dairyland open up that lead even further.
And the Syndicate with 3 other skaters with 3 penalties apiece. Hiroshima, Lethal Dose, and Lady K all having 3 penalties apiece. Energizer Bunny having 4 as mentioned. And other than that, relatively low numbers in penalties for everyone else on both sides.
Once again, Dairyland Dolls in the blue, Chicago Syndicate in the gold.
As our officials are getting everything sorted out, getting into position, getting ready to go, we'll start the second half with Magic Missile jamming for the Dairyland Dolls. And Lola Blow out on the track jamming for the Syndicate, and the whistle starts off the second half. And racing out to the lead, getting lead jam status, Lola Blow, but right on her arm is Magic Missile. We'll see who gets around first. We'll see if that jam gets called off, and it does. Lola Blow, seeing that she wasn't going to be able to get around to try to get scoring, but that the Dairyland Dolls jammer Magic Missile would have gotten there quickly. So she calls off the jam, and they say, yep, let's try this again.
Yeah, she's trying to grab that one quick point with that burst of speed. Unable to do so. Couldn't get her hips around. We're going to reset. Score still 119-47. 50 seconds gone in the second half. We've got Mouse on the jam line for the Dairyland Dolls and Matza Ballbreaker for the Syndicate.
I just realized as they put the shot into the booth that I was hiding very effectively behind the post. That might be a good thing. We have one skater in the box for the Syndicate right now as Mouse gets through to lead jam status for the Dairyland Dolls. Also getting through is Matza Ballbreaker, both jammers eligible to score points. And the jam getting called off by Mouse, getting 4 more points for the Dairyland Dolls, shutting out the Syndicate on that jam, now making it 123-47 as we're a minute and a half into this second half.
And Mouse taking advantage of the position, which team had the back of the pack and which one had the front. Chicago was holding the back of that pack. Mouse squirted through, called off the jam very quickly, kept the outfit from getting any points.
We were getting a little bit of feedback on the house PA system there, but it looks like they've cleared that quickly. We've got Splatter Alice, and I was wrong, a little more squelch, but back to business. Splatter Alice jamming for the Dairyland Dolls. The Joan Ranger going for the Syndicate. Splatter Alice once again getting lead jam for the Dairyland Dolls. As we get a whistle for a back block that's going to send Lola Blow to the box for the Syndicate. Splatter Alice getting 4 points, calling off the jam right there, now making it 127-47, an 80-point lead.
And once again, we can mention the hashtag #TalkToWFTDA. We want to thank Deadeye, actually, for correcting my mistake from earlier. It all comes down, regarding that star pass, it comes down to when the penalty was called. The penalty was called before she had even attempted the star pass. Therefore, she had to serve as the jammer. That's why that star pass was invalidated.
As you said when we were talking at halftime, it was such a bang-bang situation, and it looked like that's what the coach for the Syndicate was coming out to ask about, was did that penalty really happen before the star got handed off? And the ref said, yeah, it did. Lead jam being earned by Matza Ballbreaker for the Syndicate, with Lady Hoo-Ha on the track for the Dairyland Dolls. Lady Hoo-Ha with 1 to beat. Manages to get through, completes her initial pass. But we get a 5-point grand slam earned by the Syndicate that time around. Now making it 127-52 as we're just under 4 minutes into the second half.
Some very good blocking by the Chicago outfit on that jam. One of the few times where we've seen Lady Hoo-Ha have some serious difficulty getting through that pack. Really one of the few times we've seen any of the Madison blockers have difficulty. They've been able to get through it. It may have taken about 30 seconds, but they've had some luck most of this game.
Magic Missile now on the track jamming for the Dairyland Dolls. Lead jam earned by the Joan Ranger for the Syndicate as she's scooting around the track, eligible to score points. Magic Missile still having to fight the blocking of the Syndicate. And a shot and a jarring fall taken by the Joan Ranger, but she pops right back up.
That was a big hit she absorbed from Busta Crimes. Looked like Joan Ranger was trying to do a little bit of a lateral jump. Busta Crimes put a quick end to that.
The Roller Girls are a tough bunch. I don't think I would get back up that quickly if I took that hit. Magic Missile has completed her initial pass, but before she can engage the pack, the jam being called off. 4 more points added on to the Syndicate total, now 127 to 56, 5 minutes into the second half.
And one of the things we're starting to see, if the outfit can continue to get that lead jammer status, that's really going to help them out. It is still within reach. It's difficult and time is against them, but if they can keep getting that lead jammer status and keep holding Dairyland scoreless while picking up some points themselves, they could find themselves back in this game very quickly.
And you see that in the Syndicate stepping up their blocking, making it tougher on the Dairyland Dolls. Just the hits get a little harder, the blocking gets a little tighter, but this time around, Mouse doing what she does best, gets through to lead jam status for the Dairyland Dolls.
A little blow almost found an opening and just got stifled near that last line of defense and pushed out again by Mac the Knife. That time leads to a penalty. Penalty for cutting the track. That is going to put Mouse on a power jam, and that's not someone you want to see on a power jam if you're a Chicago Outfit fan.
That is big trouble for the Syndicate at this position. Looks like 5 more points added onto the Dairyland Dolls total, now 132 to 56. As Mouse getting blocked out of bounds, she gets recycled back, but that jam getting called. Lethal Dose looks like she was talking to the official asking if everything was on board with that. It looks like no penalties being called there, so your total now 136 to 56. Math says that's an 80-point lead with 23 minutes remaining in this one, and it looks like we're going to get a timeout on the track.
It's like an official timeout being called.
My first thought was that we might have had a little bit of sweat, and it looks like that's what we're going for because we're not doing anything in the way of any EMTs with gloves and spray.
A little bit of track maintenance as well on the far side of the track. That last jam, we got to see Mouse's derby smarts. She saw that Lola Blow was standing and wanted to call it off to make sure she got the advantage to start this next jam with Dairyland having the only jammer out there.
That is great track savvy by Mouse. Roller Derby today brought to you by Super Duper. They offer digital, offset, letterpress, and hand silk screen printing and specialize in CD and DVD packaging and manufacturing. Also brought to you today by Ian's Pizza, with 2 downtown Madison locations offering carryout and delivery, salad, pizza, vegan, and gluten-free options. Ian'sPizza.com, here to help one slice at a time.
We'd also like to thank Crest Spring Bakery. Crest Spring Bakery uses ancient traditional methods to create whole grain, wood-fired, naturally leavened, brick oven baked breads and pastries using organic, locally sourced ingredients. They sell their breads to the hungry masses at the Dane County Farmers Market in Madison. Learn more about Crest Spring Bakery at CrestSpringBakery.com.
We'd also like to thank 105.5 Triple M sponsoring the Jammerland for today's action. Locally programmed in Madison for Madison, it's about the music. 105.5 Triple M. 5 seconds being displayed in the air. The whistle and the hand drops puts us back into action. Splatter Alice, blink and you miss it. She gets the lead jam status for the Dairyland Dolls.
Yeah, Busta Crimes sealed off an opening on the outside. Splatter Alice just followed the hole that was created by her blocker. Pretty much untouched and a very quick, one of the quickest lead jammer calls we've seen so far in this jam from the bout.
Lola Blow being freed from the penalty box. We have 5-on-5 on the track, but she's going to fight against the blocking of Jean Lane, Blanche Devereaux, Shenanigans, and Busta Crimes. Meanwhile, Splatter Alice finding resistance from Kim Mortal, Susie Crotchrot, Genergizer Bunny, and Lady K, the blockers on the track for the Syndicate. Lola Blow getting forced out of bounds. She'll have to recycle back. Jean Lane doing that anti-derby skating, forcing the issue for delaying that pass.
Well, some very good bridging by the Dairyland Dolls, forcing the Chicago Jammers back deep.
It looks like we had Splatter Alice getting recycled to the back of the pack. It looked like she had almost completed her scoring pass. In fact, I believe the Jam Ref had displayed the points on that one, but then seeing that she was forced out, then Splatter Alice had to recycle back. And it looks like we might get the clarification here as the Jam Ref headed over to the scorer's table to make sure that the 5 points that he just displayed was only the one scoring pass. Because again, Splatter Alice getting forced out at the end had to recycle back. She had earned those 5 points, but had to clear the pack completely before she'd be eligible to score more of them.
That's true. We got a score of 141 to 56. Just under 21 minutes to go. The Chicago outfit trying to get themselves back in. They're going to do it with Matzo Ballbreaker as the lead jammer of this jam.
With Lady Hoo-Ha on the track for the Dairyland Dolls. She just completed her initial pass. She'll be eligible to score points. Matzo Ballbreaker slamming into the back of the pack. And she calls that one off. She gets 0 points. And Lady Hoo-Ha manages to get 1 point on the board as we get a timeout being called with 20:26 remaining. Your score 142 for the Dairyland Dolls, 56 for the Syndicate.
And the Dairyland Dolls defense just really stifling the Chicago outfit jammer once again. Chicago outfit had gotten lead jammer status, but Madison was able to spring their jammer free, and then Lady Hoo-Ha with the speed able to pick up the 1 point as Chicago was calling off the jam. Just a little bit too late on that jam and showing the value and the necessity of skating through that fourth whistle.
As most people watching this probably know, but just in case for the ones who are a little less familiar, the jam and the scoring on it are active until the end of the first set of 4 whistles. So that gives you just a little bit of time, like in the situation that just happened where one blocker got passed before those whistles finished.
And we are inside of an official review right now. Looks like this official review being asked for by Chicago outfit. Got someone in the stands holding up a sign that says Team Zebra always wins.
That is true. They're called teams, well, where I work, usually it's referred to as Team Awesome. Not that we're a modest bunch or anything. So
at the very least, Team Zebra definitely always wins with the after parties. But, you know, when you're pretty much the authority on what happens on the track, that counts as winning. You may not get any points, but you're the ones in control the entire time.
And the officials really are just as much a team as anyone that's out here. It's just they're not competing against anyone, but everyone works together, works really hard to make sure that things go well on the track. I always like to say without officials, you've just got a bunch of people skating around in circles hitting each other.
Exactly. Once again, we got a score of 142 to 56. 20 minutes, 28 seconds left to go in the second half of this second bout of 3. We've got another bout coming up after this. The B squads for both Chicago and Madison taking on each other.
That'll be the Dairyland Dolls B team going against the Chicago outfit Shade Brigade in the last one. Again, we invite you to talk to the booth here on WIFTA.tv. Go on to Twitter, use the hashtag #TalkToWIFTA. Again, that's talk, the number 2, WFTDA. We got a laptop in the booth here with us. We're refreshing that feed, and you can get your comments, questions into the booth we'll try to answer them as best we can, or at least make it sound like we know what we're talking about. Or we'll loft out to Deadeye and ask her for another answer.
Exactly. And if you have been enjoying the Derby today and you're just clamoring for even more, next week, tournament season starts up. The first tournament happening in beautiful Duluth, Minnesota. Division II tournament, starting off the round of 7 tournaments, all culminating with the championship and the awarding of the Hydra.
And again, the weekend after that, the Division II action in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. Hope everyone has their passports ready to go for that one.
And that tournament in Kitchener will actually include this Chicago outfit Syndicate. They're the number 5 seed in that tournament.
With all of that, the jam goes on and ends. Magic Missile having gotten the lead jam. And we now have a score 146-56, a 90-point lead for the Dairyland Dolls as we're under 20 minutes remaining in this particular bout. Or game, depending on which term you prefer.
Both are interchangeable at this point. Bout is more common, but
bout's kind of the more traditional one. I hear that game is where the new direction of things is going. I still say bout all the time. I'm wrong. I don't know. As we're back into action, Sequin Destroy Her getting to jam now for the Dairyland Dolls. She's going against Lola Blow, the frequent jammer for the Syndicate. Sequin Destroyer getting sent to the penalty box with a track cut. That'll put the Syndicate on the power jam.
And Lola Blow is lead jammer. I believe that was Sequin Destroyer's first time as the jammer tonight.
We also have Glock Ness getting sent to the penalty box for the Dairyland Dolls. That'll be her 6th penalty. One more and she will be out of this game.
5 big points picked up by Lola Blow there. Chicago utilizing that slowed down pack, allowing Lola Blow to catch up very quickly. And they shift into a little bit of passive stance. So Lola can try and push the Dairyland Dolls out of play, and they have to let her go.
It looks like that last penalty on Glock Ness was for a multiplayer block. All of our penalized skaters, well, as I look over there, one more got sent in. The other penalized skaters got out, but Alligator getting sent for an out-of-play penalty. So Madison, the Dairyland Dolls, will start one skater down on this next jam as we are coming down to 18 minutes remaining with your score 146-70, the advantage for the Dairyland Dolls.
Yeah, that was exactly what the Chicago outfit needed. The Syndicate need more jams like that if they want to continue closing the gap. 76 points, but right now they've got 2 opponents. One is the Dairyland Dolls, and the other is that clock with 17 minutes, 45 seconds to go.
As we start the next jam, Splatter Alice wearing the star for the Dairyland Dolls. Matza Ballbreaker back to work for the Syndicate. And Matza Ballbreaker getting sent to the box. It looks like a skating out of bounds penalty. That's not one you see very often. But she will go to the box with the Dairyland Dolls going on the power jam. Splatter Alice getting lead jam.
And Splatter Alice picking up a grand slam, getting those 5 points. That's just going to help Dairyland extend that lead.
Looks like Lindiana Jones also in the penalty box for the Syndicate. Direction of gameplay being called on her. We've got Splatter Alice push and shove. Finally gets the blocker into an out-of-play position, gets free for the 5-point grand slam, adding on to the Dairyland Dolls' lead.
The outfit get both of their skaters back on the track. Splatter Alice, 1 left to beat. That's Susie Crottrop.
And another 5-point grand slam being earned by Splatter Alice, making it 161-70. She's doing some nice work adding on to the lead, which had gotten whittled out. We have a star pass occurring now. The star being handed off to Lady K, who is still holding that cover, and a penalty being called. Lady K getting sent to the box. Since she had received the star cover successfully, she goes in as the jammer, which means another power jam for Splatter Alice and the Dairyland Dolls.
That forearm penalty is not what Chicago wanted to see happen, as they're starting to pile up more of those jammer penalties, and they're handing Madison power jams. And the Dairyland Dolls are going to send out Mouse, who can be so dangerous when there's all 5 skaters for the opposing team. She'll be the only one looking to score points, and looks like Dairyland Dolls might be setting up once again in a little bit of a slow down offense.
That was a fantastic jam recorded by Splatter Alice. 25 points, turning the 76-point lead into a 101-point lead. Just like that, Mouse getting through to lead jam status once again for the Dairyland Dolls. We see Lady K standing in the penalty box, waiting to get out and go to work as the jammer. 5 more points added by Mouse. It also looks like the Syndicate might have lost track of the fact that because of the star pass, Lady K had been the pivot, still had the cover on when she went in the box, but they did not field a pivot on this particular jam.
Well, it could have been a strategic choice. And there's another penalty for blocking out of bounds being assessed. Again, not something we see often. That's Mac the Knife into the penalty box. And Mouse spinning, showing off. Stays on the track, grabs her 5 points.
5 more points now makes the lead 181-70 for the Dairyland Dolls, as we're coming down to 14 minutes remaining in this game.
And one of the things that makes Mouse so dangerous is she'll come into a pack looking like she's getting a little too hot and might be about to pick up a back block, but generally she can actually slow herself down at that point of impact and not knock another player down, or at least not make them lose their position, therefore no penalty, and she can keep skating through.
Magic Missile jamming for the Dairyland Dolls, going up against the Joan Ranger for the Syndicate, and Magic Missile keeping that streak alive, getting lead jam once again for the Dairyland Dolls. And the Joan Ranger getting knocked on her butt, having to recycle back. But it looks like Jean Lane, I believe, getting sent to the penalty box now. And we also have a blocker, Lethal Dose, getting sent to the box for the Syndicate, as we get a 5-point grand slam earned by Magic Missile. She calls off the jam right there. 13 minutes remaining, 186-70.
And we're starting to see just the different levels of these two teams. Dairyland Dolls actually looking at a pack disadvantage, but still able to fight through and having a better time creating those holes for those jammers and allowing their team to get through and pick up lead jammer status.
Off the 105.5 Triple M jammer line, Lady Hoo-Ha jamming for the Dairyland Dolls, but lead jam earned this time by Lola Below for the Syndicate. Lady Hoo-Ha hot on her heels. We'll see if we'll get a call. Nope. Lola Blow getting forced out of bounds, having to come back in behind Alligator. And because of that, 4 points earned by Lady Hoo-Ha. And Lola Blow, seeing that Lady Hoo-Ha was coming around and was going to get back to the pack again, calls it off right there. Looks like a couple of points for her cause, but the Dairyland Dolls still managing to add on to their lead even when they didn't get lead jam.
And Lady Hoo-Ha just turning on those jets. Looked like Lola Blow thought she had a bit of a step, and Lady Hoo-Ha just turned it on at the last minute, fought her way through and grabbed those points. And actually, Lola Blow was pushed to the outside, forcing herself to cycle back. She lost points that she was just so close to getting.
Splatter Alice back to jam following that 25-point jam just a little while earlier. She gets lead jam once again for the Dairyland Dolls. Matza Ballbreaker working for the Syndicate. She's gotten through on her initial pass, but in the time that took, 4 points earned by Splatter Alice. She calls off the jam, adding points chewing away at that clock. Now under 11 minutes, 194 to 74, a 120-point lead for the Dairyland Dolls.
Utilizing all of their knowledge that they've accumulated over the years as skaters to grab that lead jammer status and then milk the clock slowly. They may not be taking a lot of time off each time that they're getting lead jammer, but the bigger thing, they're keeping Chicago from getting any points of their own.
They're keeping them from getting points, and which with each of those call-offs, 30 more seconds comes off of that clock. Mouse jamming once again for the Dairyland Dolls. The Joan Ranger trying her hardest to keep from going out, but it did not work. She had to recycle back. And Mouse gets through once again, lead jam status for the Dairyland Dolls.
Joan Ranger getting tangled up with Mac the Knife.
And Mac the Knife had been working on forcing her out, but she was too far away from the pack. It's called out of play. Mac the Knife going to the box, but Mouse gets 4 more points, calls off the jam, making it 198 to 74 as we're under 10 minutes remaining.
Yep, those quick 4 points, hit it and quit it. Good strategy when you're up by a lot, just eke away at that clock. Good strategy if you're close and down. The Chicago outfit, if they get themselves lead jammer, they need to be able to pick up more than 4 points at a time. And really, they need to be able to hold the Dairyland Dolls scoreless to really make up any ground right now.
Magic missile jamming for the Dairyland Dolls. Lola Blow getting through to lead jam status for the Syndicate. And she works her way around. We'll see what she can do to try to chip away at the lead here. Looks like we have one skater, Mac the Knife, now getting out of the box. 5-on-5 on the track. 5-point grand slam earned by Lola Blow.
And Lola Blow did something I don't see a lot of skaters do, and that's bounce off a Busta Crimes hit as if it didn't even matter.
And 4 more points earned by Lola Blow as she calls off the jam, now making it 198 to 83. The Dairyland Dolls still out in front.
Good 8.5 minutes to go in this battle between these two teams.
We'd like to recognize today's bout charity, Safe Communities of Madison-Dane County. They're a local nonprofit coalition bringing together public and private sector partners to save lives, prevent injuries, and make the community a safer place. Their core areas of work correspond to the community's top causes of injury and injury-related death. Again, that's Safe Communities of Madison and Dane County.
Your jammers for the Chicago outfit, Susie Crottrot, and for Madison, Lady Hoo-Ha.
And we get a whistle for a high block as Lady Hoo-Ha gets sent to the penalty box. That'll put Susie Crottrot and the Syndicate on the power jam. But she's still getting held up by Mac the Knife doing yeoman's work on the block. But Susie Crottrot manages to break free and gets lead jam status for the Syndicate.
A lot of these Syndicate skaters are going to be seeing number 15 in their nightmares, and they're going to have that Sharpie number tattooed across their forearms, the way that she's been delivering hits all game long.
5-point grand slam earned by Susie Crottrot. She works her way back around. Lady Hoo-Ha has gotten free from the penalty box, so we're back 5-on-5, and as soon as I say that, Alligator getting sent to the box. And another whistle, looks like a high block being called against Mac the Knife. That'll put the Dairyland Dolls 2 skaters down. And another 5-point grand slam earned by Susie Crottrot.
Lady Hoo-Ha being slowed down by 2 skaters in gold.
And Lady Hoo-Ha just completing her initial pass there as she's jockeying for position between Lady Hoo-Ha and Susie Crottrot. The jam getting called off. 1 more point added for the Syndicate, and the Dairyland Dolls being kept off the board. As we're coming down to 6 minutes remaining, your score 198 to 98, a 100-point lead for the Dairyland Dolls.
And 100 points in 6 minutes is a very, very tough road to hoe. It's possible, but incredibly unlikely at this point. Chicago just trying to make up some ground, get it closer so that it can help their own rankings, because the way the ranking system works, even a close loss can help a team that's a little bit behind the rankings.
Lead jam earned by the Dairyland Dolls. Splatter Alice. We seem to keep saying that the Joan Ranger getting free for the jam for the Syndicate. As we get it called off, we got one more point for the Syndicate and 3 added on to the total for the Dairyland Dolls. Dairyland Dolls crossing the 200-point threshold, 201. The Syndicate 99 as we come down toward 5 minutes remaining.
One thing we're starting to notice, it's been happening all about long. The Dairyland Dolls, they tend to send out the same blockers 2 or even 3 jams in a row and then rotate in. It's worked out remarkably effectively for them in this game so far, with, a 102-point lead.
That's not something you see very commonly. Most teams, as soon as that jam is called off, you'll do a full switch. Mouse getting through to lead jam status for the Dairyland Dolls. Matza Ball Breaker on the track for the Syndicate. And it looks like, is that Glock Ness?
Yes, Glock picked up her 7th. That is a foul out.
And the officials taking her away from the track. On the other side, Lady K, the pivot for the Syndicate with 6 penalties. Also Lethal Dose with 5. Energizer Bunny not on the track, but also has 5 penalties.
And Matza Ballbreaker just picked up a track cut penalty. Only her 2nd, but she was the jammer. That's just going to give Mouse that opportunity. Mouse forced into a track cut.
Yep, we got that call from the outside, signaled into the jam ref. The fans not liking it, but it is what it is. So we'll get a jammer do-si-do at the penalty box.
And it's going to be a full 2-minute jam. So we've got 45 seconds to go in this particular jam.
Matza Ballbreaker, having completed her initial pass, she'll be eligible to score points this time around. You can see that Mouse is on her wheels and coming out of the box right now. But a 5-point grand slam earned by Matza Ballbreaker for the Syndicate. But we have Hiroshima getting sent to the box now. Oh. Had an outside pack ref taking a fall right in front of our broadcast position. A nice little hip hit delivered by Mouse as she was coming into the pack. She gets another 5-point grand slam as time expires on that jam. We're under 3 minutes remaining.
And it looks like we're getting a
timeout.
Time being called by the Dairyland Dolls. Very smart play by Alligator. She saw that the Syndicate was attempting a star pass, and Alligator actually got in the way and blocked the Syndicate jammer enough that she could not get the helmet panty over to Lady K in the pivot. Unable to complete that star pass, just forcing that Syndicate jammer who was gassed to go a little bit longer.
So we have the timeout being called by the Dairyland Dolls. It looks like we're getting a conversation in there. It looks like that's going to be an official review. As the Syndicate skaters saying hello to the folks at home, sending their love, as it should be. Again, we invite you to send your tweets to the booth here. Use the hashtag #TalkToWFTA. That's talk, the number 2, WFTDA. We're watching the feed here. We invite you to send your messages, send your questions in. We hear the house mic talking about the tattoos that Art and Soul Tattoo brought their traveling tattooing ambulance to the bout today. They're set up out in the parking lot for anyone who wants to go out there and get tattoos. I know it doesn't help for those listening at home, but I don't think I've ever heard of such a traveling tattoo parlor before.
I've never seen one, but I kind of want one.
Not gonna lie, I'm a little curious too. I don't know if my folks are listening at home right now, but if they are, ignore this conversation.
Or just remember that it's never too early to start thinking about Christmas presents. We got a score of 221 to 107. Dairyland Dolls on top. We were talking a little bit earlier about Dairyland sending out the same blockers for a couple jams in a row. It's one of a couple schools of thought. Either you send the same line out multiple times so they get a longer break, or you've basically got 2 blocker rotations you keep rotating through. Both schools of thought seem to work. I've seen some teams that use that rotation get very high in the rankings, and clearly Dairyland Dolls being set up for the D1 tournaments, they've gotten themselves high in the rankings as well using their current rotation of you do a couple of jams in a row as a blocker, then you get some time to breathe.
You've got to figure that using that kind of strategy makes endurance training all the more important when you're going into practices. Build up that stamina so that you can go on those extended blocking runs. Lady Hoo-Ha getting through to lead jam status for the Dairyland Dolls, while the Syndicate having Lola Blow on the track. She has gotten through that initial pass. Lady Hoo-Ha now engaging the pack, calls it off right there. And it looks like both teams getting 0 points, but again, time, that clock working in the Dairyland Dolls' favor as we're winding down here. Mind you, that point differential works in their favor too, I suppose.
Oh, definitely. Lola Blow, one of the more effective jammers that the Syndicate's had, but they've had really 1, maybe 2 effective jammers, whereas the Dairyland Dolls 3 or 4. Something we're seeing in the seat-out as well is just having more effective jammers really helps, and Dairyland Dolls just opening up that lead. 221 to 107, under 2 minutes to go.
And we have lead jam being earned by Sequin Destroy, her B52 for the Dairyland Dolls. We get Susie Crouchrot getting sent to the penalty box, putting the Dairyland Dolls on the power jam. Another 5-point grand slam earned by Sequin Destroy her. Looking at the time, she could just about run this out if she wants to keep this active.
I was going to say that it'll be interesting to see how the Dairyland Dolls play it. Sequin Destroyer could finish out the period. There's more time on the jam clock than there is on the period clock. Instead, she decides to call it off. We're going to get at least 1 more jam.
And we're going to get a timeout called by the Dairyland Dolls with 1:08 remaining here. 231 to 107. They've managed to trap Susie Crouchrot in the penalty box. We'll see if they can work that to their advantage once again. And still to come in tonight's roller derby action, our final game of the day will feature the Dairyland Dolls B team going against the Chicago outfit Shade Brigade.
Yet another good bout. It's been a fantastic day of roller derby so far here in Madison. And I don't think it's talking out of sorts to say that Dairyland Dolls going to even up that record against Chicago outfit at 2-2.
And that's a nice way for them to head into the tournament starting very shortly. Again, the Division II level starting next weekend in Duluth, Minnesota. The following weekend at Kitchener, Ontario, where the Syndicate will be traveling. And then we move into Division I action. Was that Charleston, West Virginia, I believe you said, for the Dairyland Dolls?
That's correct. That's coming up. And the Dairyland Dolls in the last of the D1 tournaments before the actual championship tournament. So if Madison can get in that top 3 in their tournament, they're going to be playing again, going for the Hydra.
Lead jam being earned once again by Splatter Alice for the Dairyland Dolls, with Susie Crouchrot getting out of the penalty box. We've got 1 getting sent to the box for the Dairyland Dolls. They've got another short whistle. Someone getting sent, sounds like a high block. A 5-point grand slam earned by Splatter Alice as that clock is winding down. Under 30 seconds remaining. Again, if the period clock runs out, we will remain active as long as the jam is active. Once that jam is done, then we're done.
And Gene Lane, Busta Crimes, and Shenanigans really just causing havoc out there, and they're about to get some help from Blanche Devereaux.
Another 5 points earned by Splatter Alice, and she calls it off, and that period clock expires. It looks like they were trying to call a timeout, and it looks like it was successfully called by the Dairyland Dolls with 1 second remaining. We'll get one more jam.
Dairyland Dolls looking just to improve their standing, looking ahead towards next season's tournament rankings already. And this season's tournament locked into place, but it's never too early to start planning for next year, trying to get things a little bit better. Looking at the score, 245 to 107, the Syndicate taking a tough loss tonight, but with the difference in rankings between these two teams and the fact that the Syndicate did have some effective jams and held the lead for a little bit at the beginning, that's got to make them feel good going into their tournament in Kitchener.
So again, we'll have one more jam here at the Hartmeyer Ice Arena here in Madison, Wisconsin. We can see that Mouse out on the track for one more jam, and she'll go up against the Joan Ranger. It looks like we're moving to an official timeout here.
It's like just making sure they've got everything completely cleared. We got a score of 245 to 111. 1 second on the period clock. And then coming up after this, we've got the B teams for Chicago and Madison. Finishing off this triple header of Derby. We started off with the C teams, moved on to the A teams, ending it with the nightcap in the B teams.
Makes for a long day of action, but it's a good way to spend a Saturday. We thank everyone at home for sharing their Saturday with us here on WIFTA.tv. Again, one more to go. 5 seconds displayed in the air, 1 second on the period clock. That starts it. So as soon as this jam is done, and Mouse gets the lead jam for the Dairyland Dolls, so she is in control as long as she doesn't get penalized.
Speaking of penalized, that's what just happened to Joan Ranger. Joan Ranger picking up a penalty for cutting the track.
Mouse getting forced out of bounds, has to recycle to the back of the pack. The blockers for the Dairyland Dolls trapping one of the Syndicate's blockers. Mouse gets past the rest of them, gets a 5-point grand slam. She comes around trying to add more points onto the total.
Looks like Mouse might have done a little wave at the penalty box on her way past. And speaking of jammer penalties, Mouse picking up a track cut. That's going to release the Joan Ranger. And we've got another minute to go because that's what's left on the jam clock. No lead jammer.
Yep, so our second half will run 31 minutes and 59 seconds because of that timeout and the penalties there.
Mac the Knife picking up a low block penalty.
And the Joan Ranger finally having completed her initial pass. She works around the outside, ducks down low, gets around for the 5-point grand slam for the Syndicate. As we're under 30 seconds in the jam, Mouse getting free back out of the box. It looks like Samantha Judge was trying to block her last, and we get a track cut called against the Joan Ranger. Why not?
That actually is her second track cut for this jam. Mouse has only picked up one, but she's grabbed more points. But we've had both jammers go to the box for track cuts in this jam. And unofficial final score, 260 to 118. What we definitely know, Dairyland Dolls on top of the Syndicate. Both teams gearing up for tournament. Big win for the Dairyland Dolls.
Yep. And we'll get the scorekeepers double checking the math, but it looks like with that last time out, they got all their double checking pretty much done. So it's already posted as a final. Your final score, the Dairyland Dolls 260, the Chicago Outfit Syndicate 118.
The Dairyland Dolls just too much for the Syndicate to figure out. Syndicate had a lead early on, and they kept trying to pour it on. But the Dairyland Dolls just asserted themselves They fixed what was wrong in the first couple of jams, and then they never looked back. They just kept adding and adding and adding. And again, we talk about her a lot. She's a strong jammer for Madison. Mouse, who started out and looked a little bit off the first couple of jams, and then found her game, found her agility, and found the way to utilize her size to her advantage.
And credit both of our teams. The Syndicate, regardless of what numbers were on the board, they kept working all the way through, kept fighting, did not give up, put in some great effort here today. This experience, you have to figure, will serve them well going into the D2 tournament as they travel to Kitchener, Ontario in 2 weeks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for watching us here on WFTDA.tv. There is one more bout upcoming. Keep your fingers ready using that hashtag #TalkToWFTDA, because you're going to need it starting next week with the tournaments as well. We'll be back with the third bout of this triple header in just a little bit. I am Wilhelm Scream.
And I am Rex Support. Thanks for watching us. We'll see you for the third bout in just a little bit.